Welcome dear students to yet another lecture on the Victorian novelists. We have introduced the Victorian novelists. We talked in general about the Victorian novels. We also discussed about Charles Dickens and all his novels. Now today we are going to discuss another important Victorian novelist. Another important Victorian novelist, and she is none other than George Eliot. So in our class today we shall have a short description of George Eliot, another important Victorian novelist. George Eliot or Mary Ann Evans, she lived from 1819 to 1880. Now George Eliot or Mary Ann Evans was the foremost of the women writers of the Victorian period. So foremost, the most important women writer of the Victorian period. Now Mary Ann Evans, she is known by her pen name George Eliot. George Eliot is a male name. Now George Eliot, we can say she was an English novelist, she was a poet, she was a journalist, she was a translator, and one of the leading writers of the Victorian era. Leading writers, when you consider both male and female, she can be qualified as one of the leading writers, not a women writer, one of the leading writers. And in 1851, Mary Ann Evans moved to London, hoping to become a freelance writer. She worked as a sub-editor at the Westminster Review. She wrote many essays and even translated German. So an erudite person, a scholar. The original name of George Eliot was Mary Ann or Mary Evans. But she would take a male name. She would take a male name, George Eliot. Now why did she take? Why did Mary Ann or Mary Evans take a male name? There may be several reasons that can be said. One reason might be this: to rise above the silly novel syndrome. To rise above the silly novel syndrome. What is a silly novel syndrome? Silly novel syndrome. It is the belief that women can only write very light-hearted romances. They are not capable of writing anything scholarly. They are able to write only light-hearted romances. To rise above that. The second reason that can be said is that she wanted her work to be judged differently, separately from her extensive and widely known works as editor and critic. She was a poet, she was a journalist, she was a critic. So her novel should be separate from other works. So she would adopt another name when she writes novels. The third reason that can be said is that a name was taken to shield her private life, to cover up, to protect her private life from public scrutiny. It is said that she had a scandalous relationship with the married George Henry Lewis. So to cover up, to shield that private life, she would choose another name, George Eliot. So in this lecture, we are going to consider George Eliot, the novelist. George Eliot, the novelist. Now she was a poet, as I said. She was a poet, she was a journalist, she was a translator, and she was one of the leading writers. She is also a renowned novelist of the Victorian era. And she wrote 7 novels. We shall have a short description of the 7 novels that was written by George Eliot. The first novel that was written is Adam Bede. Adam Bede was written in 1859. So this is her first novel, and this novel was published when she turned 40, when she was 40 years old. Mary Evans was a highly respected scholar of the Victorian era. She was a highly erudite person, a scholar, but her novel was published pseudonymously under the name George Eliot. Now we have talked about the reasons why she selected that male name. The second novel by George Eliot is The Mill on the Floss. The Mill on the Floss, which was published in 1860. Now in this novel, the loss of innocence is a major theme. Loss of innocence. It is a story of the love of two siblings, brother and sister, Tom and Maggie. So the mill on the floss. The third novel by George Eliot was Silas Marner, the weaver of Ravelot. Silas Marner, the weaver of Ravelot. It is the third novel of George Eliot. It was published in 1861. Now, Silas Marner. This novel is noted for its realism, and this novel also treats a variety of issues like religion, industrialization, etc. So there is a lot of realism in this particular novel, Silas Marner. The fourth novel by George Eliot is Romola. Romola was published in 1863. Now, Romola is a historical novel by George Eliot. Historical novel. It is set in the 15th century. It is a deep study of the city of Florence. Romola is a deep study of the city of Florence. The fifth novel that was published by George Eliot is Felix Holt the Radical. Felix Holt the Radical, which was published in 1866. Now, it is a social novel written by George Eliot, and it talks about political disputes in a small town at the time of the first Reform Act of 1832. So, political disputes in a small town during the time of the first Reform Act of 1832. The sixth novel by George Eliot is Middlemarch, a study of provincial life. Middlemarch. It was written and published between 1871 and 72. Now, this novel appeared in 8 installments in 1871 and 72. We have learned that novels used to appear in installments, and this had 8 installments. The seventh novel by George Eliot is Daniel Deronda. Daniel Deronda, which was published in 1876. Now, this is the last novel by George Eliot, and this is the only novel that is set in the contemporary Victorian society of her day. The setting is the contemporary Victorian society of her day, of the day of George Eliot, of the time of George Eliot. Now, what are some of the characteristics of the novels of George Eliot? We shall see some of the characteristics of the novels of George Eliot. Now, George Eliot was an English Victorian novelist known for the psychological depth of her characters. The psychological depth of her characters and her descriptions of English rural life. So, the psychological depth of the characters and the description of the rural life of England. She developed the methodology of psychological analysis, characteristics of modern fiction. Psychological analysis, which was characteristic of the modern fiction. While most of the Victorian novelists tells about the relationship between the individual and the society. Now, what does George Eliot do? George Eliot talks more about the duties and obligations of individuals. So, George Eliot talks about the duties and obligations of the individuals. Thus, the novel became more moral and philosophical with George Eliot. So, she is talking more about the duties and obligations of individuals. So, the novel becomes more moral, more philosophical. Her theme was principally egoism. Her theme was principally egoism. What is egoism? Egoism is the theory which states that human beings should act in their own interest or desires. What is egoism? This theory states that human beings should act in their own interest or their own desires, not the interest of somebody else or something else. They should act in their own interests and desires. Now, the standard plot in her novels is an educational tone. This would mean that the central character in her novels comes to realize that he or she, the central character will come to realize that he or she is too self-centered, self-obsessed, and will begin to think of social commitments. There is a transformation that is taking place in the characters of George Eliot. Another characteristic of George Eliot's novels were the mode of her novels. The mode of her novels was realism. Realism, which involves close observation of ordinary life. Close observation of ordinary life, and the discourse was characterized by shared understanding of the world and the shared values. So, shared understanding of the world and shared values. So, her chief gift was realism, that is tempered with sympathy. Realism that was tempered with sympathy. Temper means to neutralize or counterbalance. So realism that is tempered with sympathy. The rich and the poor, the lowliest and the exalted, the rich and the poor are subject to the same moral law. Whether you are rich or poor, you are subject to the same moral law. The happiness or misery of each person is the result of the choices that one makes. So my happiness, my sorrow is the result of the choice I make. She also would talk about the reward or punishment for each one's actions. So I am rewarded, I am punished because of my actions. The rewards or punishment of one's actions are inevitable. This is something similar to the law of karma. I am rewarded for my good actions. I am punished for my bad actions. So reward or punishment is based on one's actions. The reward and punishments are inevitable. Her novels show psychological criticism. We have already talked about it. Psychological criticisms. These portray the inner struggles of the characters. Psychological criticism. They portray the inner struggles of the characters and how the characters overcome moral dilemmas. How they become the dilemmas. What is the dilemma? Dilemma is a situation where we do not know what to do. So how the inner struggle of the struggles of the characters, how they overcome these dilemmas. There is a lot of psychological criticism in her novels. So my dear students, George Eliot was one of the most successful women writers of the Victorian period. The 19th century was a time in which even the women writers were beginning to be included into the canon of important writers. So women writers also used to be included, they were given recognition. Though she was a woman writer, she would distance herself from other women writers of the time. And to quote William Henry Hudson, according to William Henry Hudson, the novel then was humanitarian in the hands of Dickens, humanitarian in the hands of Dickens, and satiric in the hands of Thackeray. We have not discussed Thackeray. And satiric in the hands of Thackeray, and in the hands of George Eliot, it became more moral and philosophical. In the hands of George Eliot, it became philosophical and moral. My dear students, we are coming to the end of our discussion on George Eliot, Mary Ann Evans. For your assignment, please write a short description about George Eliot. Please write all the novels of George Eliot with the year of publication. Please also write some of the characteristics of the novels of George Eliot.